3, 2, 1, go.
Hey Whoople, it's Dave here at Big Bang for another update for what we've been up to last month. This time we have got Dave Wright with us, as well as Paul Glubniak from the dev team, to talk about some of the things that they've been working on the Whoople platform.
Okay, well, so Dave, tell us about the Whoople store stuff that you've been working on.
Yeah, so one of the major projects I've been working on is the Whoople store. In the last couple of weeks, we put out some landing pages to test our two sort of different models of sort of like a Netflix subscription model versus sort of an iTunes purchase model. And we've been driving ads to those pages through Google AdWords as well as LinkedIn. We've been getting some pretty solid traffic. We've also been doing a lot of customer interviews with both education partners. For example, yesterday I talked to someone at Durham College who provides kind of education. Also talking to some potential customers. So people that are actually signing up through the landing pages, we're sending them a couple questions to get kind of feedback on what they're looking for and what would make the Whoople store really awesome. So we got lots of information, and now our next phase is going to start sort of the design process of what exactly the store is going to be and what that sort of first release is going to look like. And then as soon as we get some time with the resources that we have, we'll get to work and start building out our first release.
Cool. So I know that the current sort of track that the devs are working on is the new Whoople user interface. And I know, Paul, you've been working on that a fair bit recently.
Yeah, we've been, in the last month or so, been working a lot on the assessments, being able to take assessments, review the assessments, get the recommendations for questions that you might have missed in the last take at the assessment, which is almost going to wrap up our ability to do certification courses. Next thing on our plate, which we're going to get to, is the certification dashboard. That's still in the design phase, redesign phase, but wrapping up certification assessments. That's about it. I don't know what we talked about last month, but that's it.
Cool. And if I understand correctly, because because new Whoople is available on mobile and iPad and desktop, you should be able to take assessments on your iPhone as well, right?
Yeah, that's totally right. And I guess as we move forward, Dave's going to be bringing in some new beta users as well to make sure that that stuff's all ironed out on iPad and iPhone and the desktop as well. It's all the same interface now. So.
Very cool. Okay. So I wanted to ask Dave Banks about some of the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, I guess, in Whoople, because people don't necessarily see what's happening, but he's been leading the effort on a lot of various things. So, Dave, any highlights, I guess, from the last month that you want to tell us about?
So there's really sort of a number of things that's been going on last month. Primarily, two main projects that we've been working on the dev side are helping design the store, as doing interviews, as well as the learner experience. Some of the other projects that we've been doing is helping sort of streamline customer care a little bit, working on some collateral for Whoople, and a few other smaller projects. There's always sort of new clients coming on board, or parts of clients. So things like, I'll say financial, they're trying to get more deeply integrated with how Whoople works. So there's been a lot of discussions there. Allstate Canada is looking to bring on Quebec, which is another 19 agencies that they've had. So I've been on a lot of conversations with Stacy on exactly how that's going to work, because it's a little bit interesting, right? So in Quebec, everyone's French, so they all need to be able to receive French content. But they have legislation where if they cannot receive English content unless they can also get the same in French. So it presents a bit of a interesting scenario for us to solve with Whoople. In addition to that, sort of their managers or the agency managers can access both English and French, but essentially their LSPs cannot, and they're not on certification yet. So we've been working with Whoople, which is pretty flexible, to create sort of groups and permissions and figure out how to package up English and French content and make sure all the right people get the right content. So that's been a project that's been going on a little while. They are now just finalizing that French content, and will hopefully be going live in the next week or two, which would be great because I'll get us another 19 agencies essentially, and a few hundred more people up and using Whoople. And it's here in Canada too, so it's always great to see sort of some local use of the platform.
Nice. And then I also wanted to ask Dave Wright about some of the changes he's been doing or working on with the database and sort of and the back end, I guess. So, any highlights from you, Dave?
Yeah, one of the big ones, which you won't notice, is that we used to take down Woopl for periods of time to do database maintenance and things like that. We now have some new technology in that'll allow us to actually do those updates in the background, so we can actually leave Woopl up while those updates are happening. Which also means that we can do bigger updates of things that maybe we would have asked to take Woopl down for an hour. Now it's just zero downtime, so it's a big improvement.
Cool. And I think the other thing that I just sort of was aware of was the exceptions importer. So I know there's been some again big background changes to how that's working.
Yeah, so sort of the version 2 of this exceptions importer, now it can handle files of any size. Yeah, where we used to sort of make it into little chunks, now we can do one big file. And there's also some checks in there to make sure that you're not uploading the same exception twice. So there's no redundancy and there's no accidental uploads, things like that.
Great. I'm sure customer care will be very appreciative of that.
I hope so.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that was pretty much all I wanted to talk to you guys about. So thank you for your time. Anything else you want to say to the rest of the people in Kansas and Wildwood?
Yeah, if you haven't checked out the new UI, make sure you do so. Whether it be on your phone or on your computer, go to app.woopl.com and use your existing credentials to log in and check it out. We're pushing updates to it pretty much every day, every few days, so there's always something new whenever you log in. And we're going to be adding some new data users, hopefully, in the next week or so. So it's going to be really exciting. We're going to get people off of user voice, where people have been requesting for new features and whatnot. For a lot of those people that are requesting features that we're now supporting in the new UI, we're going to get them on board and see what they say. And that feedback will be really helpful for us to make sure that the design we're building is the best one possible and that it meets everybody's needs. And if you have any changes or any requests that are critical or that need to be addressed, we can do so now before we release to the general audience.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for your time, gentlemen.
See you next month.